So now that we've created our sign up page and actually signed up, we want to see how to collect the data from the database to bring it here. Now we can't use PHP to collect the data. We don't want the data to already be here once the page is loaded. So we want it to be loaded using AJAX or JavaScript. So what we want to do is go to our index.php. By the way, I have some placeholder images here, user female, user male, which you can get with the link in the description. We're going to be using those. And then we have this GIF here, which will be showing when we are actually loading. When we are loading an image, or we're loading some data, this is going to be the image that shows in the meantime to show that we're actually loading something. So it's an animated GIF, so you can put GIF or GIF, you can put your version of it, or you can use this same one, link in the description. Alright, so to begin with, let's open up our index.php page, because this is what we are dealing with, and let's go down here to where the JavaScript is, and let's remove everything except this function that gets the element by ID, so that we are on the same page. So that's the only function that's there in the script. Okay, and we want to see this panel here. This panel is the left, what is it called, just to be sure, where there is the user info, which is in here. So this div is called, what is this div? Left panel, that's the one right there. But we need another to give this one also a name here. So what we want to do, so anything we want to directly access should have an ID. So let me give this one an ID. I'm going to give this one user_info. Okay, so this one is profile image, that's the ID, pretty good. And then when we come down here, we want to be able to access these things directly. So I will put a span here so that it's easier, and I will close it over here. It's better than having to navigate these things just to get to the name. So we'll use a span here, and we'll just say ID is equal to user name. Okay, and we can do exactly the same thing here. We have another span, and we can give it an ID of user email, or let me just say email. There we go. So we have the email and the username and the profile image. Very good. So we can grab these individually and actually save, write some data to them. All right, so what we want to do now is just put some placeholders here. Instead of saying Kelly Hartman, we're going to say username, so that because when it first loads, it's going to show all these things. So we must put something that is universal. So let's say email@gmail.com, something like that. And on this one, we're going to have mail.jpg. Where is this? This is the mail placeholder, user mail. Okay, that's the one. So we're going to have user mail. So you can put your own placeholder here, it doesn't matter, so that when we refresh now, we have this instead as a placeholder while we wait for the information to actually load. Now that we are done with that, we need one universal function which is going to get data from the server. So we're going to say function get_data. Now the only thing we need to know about this is going to be, okay, what we need to do is some data. We will have two parameters here, find and type. Okay, let me use the normal convention here. Okay, so find is going to be something we are searching for. If there's something in particular that we want from the database, that will be the find, and then type will be the data type. Now find will contain an object which, so that we can multiply the amount of info we want to send, and then type will simply be a string to determine which type of data we want to retrieve. Okay, so let's go back here and do our thing. All right, so let's create an HTTP request here. Let's come down here first. Let's create another function. Now this function will handle result as usual, and then we're going to say result like so. So that will be the one that handles what happens to the result. Okay, so here we go. Now the data type here should be accessible here as well, so result, and then we're going to say type so that it knows what to do with that as well. All right, pretty good. So now let's create an XML request is equal to new XML HTTP request like so, and then we'll say xml.onload is equal to, let's make a function here, there we go, and then we will send. First let's open it. We're just going to say post there, even though we're not using a post request. And of course it's going to api.php. It's the only file that will be receiving these. And of course we want it to be asynchronous, which is true. And then let's do that again, xml.send. And of course we will send the data, which is find and type. Okay, now those are actually what's this, objects. So what I will do is say data var data is equal to JSON dot stringify okay, data like that, and then we're going to send the data here as one string. So since we are simply sending JSON, we have to merge this. So what I will do is right here where there is data is equal to, I'll make an empty object like so, and then I'm going to say data dot find is equal to find, and then I'll do the same thing, data dot data type is equal to type. All right, and then we stringify. Since it's already declared, we don't need to declare it again. Let me move this upwards, down. So then what we are doing is we are simply merging this into one object. So data.find, so we are adding this object into another object, and then we are adding the data type as well to whatever type that is. And then we stringify this data and send it to api.php, which is very good. Okay. So now here let's see what happens when we bring a result So we're going to say if xml.ready state, ready state is equal to 4, or xml.status is equal to 200, meaning we have our result back. What we're going to say is handle result xml.response text, something like this. And of course we need to know the type. So since we have the type, where is this type here? So let me put a comma and type. There we go. So up here, what I just want is to alert me to the information that I have actually sent so that I can see it. So alert result. Pretty good. And then we want to load some, to get some data immediately we load this page. So I'm simply going to add this here. Let me come down here. I can do it at the very end here, no problem. So I'm going to say get data. So the type, I'm going to name it user_info. So this is all up to you what you want to name these things, as long as on the other side the server knows what that means. So user info, and the find, we are not finding anything here, so I'll simply put wait, this should be an object. I'm going to put an empty object like so. Yeah, there we go. So that will be an empty object. So I'm just going to say get data user. The reason is here because we don't want to find anything. We just want to load the user data of the current user, which is yeah, pretty good. So this will run, because it's not inside a function, it's going to run immediately we load the page. So what I want to do now is to see the result here, and wait, sign up can be removed. So index.php get data alert result. So let's see what happens when I just refresh and we have an empty result, which means everything is working, because it's just that we are not passing through any of these. Okay, so now since the data is being captured, all we have to do is check if we are actually doing the correct thing. So I'm just going to copy this part here, and I'm going to say else if, something like so. Oops. So else if data object data type is set, and the data type is user info. So let's just echo something here to know that we know that we want to get user data. So let's echo user info just to see, and let's refresh the page, and there it is, user info. So it knows to load the user data. All right. So since we have all that, we can, and we have our DB there, we can get the user info. Now in order to know which user this is, or this guy must be logged in. So since there is no logged in data here, we should have redirected our sign up to, where is the sign up page? Okay, that's fine. Let's just do it from here. Where is this? API. So at the very beginning here, because we're going to be using sessions to know if somebody is logged in, so we're going to have session underscore start like this. So the reason we put session start here is because we want to use a global variable called sessions. Now that one will only be active if we activate this. Now the reason we use the sessions is because no matter what page we are on, the variables we add there persist, so we can identify the user so that we don't have to ask the user to log in on every page. Once they log in, we can save the information in the session, and then that will be enough. Okay, so we start the session there, and we check if this guy is actually logged in. If not, we redirect to the login page. So in order to check, it's going to be very simple here. We're just going to say check if logged in, and then here I'm going to say if session user ID. So what I want to check for, if this session user ID is set. So if it's set, session user ID, because if the person is logged in, this one will definitely be set. So if it's not set, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say info, because info will always be the value that we return to the user. So I'm going to say info, was it yeah, that's actually what we returned. I'm going to say info dot logged in underscore in is equal to what do I want to put here, is equal to 0. So we can either use 0 or 1 just for, or we can use false, true or false, that's much better. So user logged in is equal to false. Now what this will do is that every time we return something, let me come down here, include, okay, because here when we're including this one, we are returning the info as well, and so we have to do the same thing down here. So each time we return info, the index page should check, are we logged in or not? If we are not, we redirect. So what will happen here now is, let me come back here, api.php. Okay, what I will do is immediately send this one back. So what I will do is say die right here. So if this is not set, so that we don't do anything else, we're just going to say info logged in is equal to false, and then we're going to die. So when I come back here to the index page, and this is the handle result, what I will do is I'm going to check, first of all, let me convert it back to an object. So I'm going to say var result. I can use result itself. Result is equal to JSON dot parse let me change it to object, that's shorter. So var object is equal to JSON parse object. Now we're going to search for if, because that one should always be there. If object what was it, logged in. So we're going to say if not object logged in, then we do a window dot location is equal to login dot php. Okay, and then we do everything else in here. Okay, something like this. So let's refresh our page. Oops, something else going on here. Let's go to the console, syntax error, unexpected, got. Where is that? Oh, sorry, this is PHP syntax, sorry. Once more, it's a dot. Alright, so JSON parse unexpected end of data at line 1. So what's causing the syntax error? Oh, actually we are not echoing back this one. Okay, I see. So what we want to do here is say echo JSON encode info. All right, so that we return something. Okay, so the exclamation mark there. Let's try again. Console. Okay, so we're still having that problem again. Let me try to do this. Okay, so I don't get that error anymore, so it means the result is the problem. So let's do that. Let me go back to API here. Also, what we need to do is here check if the result is not empty. Actually, that's probably the issue here. So if result is not equal to empty, like this, let me actually say result.trim, something like this. Let me refresh. Okay, no more errors anymore. So now let's come back here to API. Okay, I need to do the not. So if not set, then we go to this one. So refresh. There we go. So unexpected character. So we are back to this again. Now what I want to do is go to index here and echo or alert the result. So I want to see what's inside that result. Let's refresh. All right, so warning, creating default object from empty value on line 8. Okay, so that's where the problem is. So let me close this right here. So this info should be declared at the top here before we can use it. So I'm going to say info is equal to empty array, empty object rather, and let me refresh. Okay, so we still have more errors, so let me undo this and see the alert result again. Syntax error on line 5, unexpected. Okay, let's go back to line 5. There we go. I forget this is PHP, so what we will do is say object like so. That should sort the problem out. Refresh. All right, logged is equal to false. Very nice. And then we are redirected. Very good. So now what we will do is come back to index and remove this result. So what's happening now is in the handle result, first of all, we check if the trimmed version, meaning we remove the spaces, the trimmed version of the result, if it's not empty, then we do this. If it's empty, we simply ignore this part. So we either show what's happening, the result, or we move to the login page if the user is not logged in. All right, so this should be the login page now because it says login.php at the top. So in the next video, we're going to deal with the login page so that we can actually create a valid session here through the login page. And I'll see you in the next video.